Hey, this is Liz from People I Think Are Cool, a bi-weekly podcast where I interview my favorite creatives from across the globe. If you're looking for a dose of creative inspiration, then go to peopleithinkarecool.com or subscribe to People I Think Are Cool on iTunes and Stitcher.
You like film, from cult to classic, from blockbuster to B-movies. And there just isn't that one place with all the fan fervor and passion that's covering the kind of mad, diverse brilliance that you love.
Well, that's where you're wrong.
AfterMovieDiner.com is that fan-built movie nirvana just for you, featuring the sweet, sweet writings of the wife dork herself. AfterMovieDiner.com. Go there. Be the best you can be.
You are listening to the In the Mouth of Dorkness podcast, the official podcast of the Alamo Drafthouse, Winchester.
Welcome to another edition of the It Modcast podcast. Joining me is Brian Young, the Turtle Dork.
Happy Friday, folks.
Yep. And also joining me is Lisa Gullickson, wife dork.
I didn't think of anything cute to say. Hi.
And Brad Gullickson, mouth dork.
You gonna eat your tots? It's from Napoleon Dynamite. I sounded just like Napoleon Dynamite. It was like Jared Hess, not Jared Hess.
I think so.
Something
like
That's
that.
his name.
Yeah.
That's not what he sounded
Yeah,
like.
you gonna eat those tuts? No, you gonna eat your tuts?
Do the other one that you do. What's your other impression?
Lucky.
I was thinking about the one where you do the accent
No,
from Punisher.
no, from Predator 2.
Predator 2.
You can't see the eyes of the demon until him come calling.
That's one of my faves.
Oh, man, that's a classic.
He's really good at voices.
Yep.
And I'm your host, Darren Smith, the Disco Dork. And welcome to another edition of the It Modcast podcast, Fistful Friday.
Not a lot of kitchen quotes. I was looking for like kitchen movie quotes, and that's where I came down on the tots.
Oh, okay. Was there any quotes from Chef Brian that he could have used?
Ooh, that's going to be on Brian's list.
No.
Because the kitchen
Nope.
is
No, he
rolling.
said he wasn't
It should
changing
be
his
the
list.
one with
Yeah,
the
I'm
grilled
not.
cheese. That's a great
I
scene.
know.
But unfortunately, he's not
Surprise,
changing
surprise,
his
it's coming
No,
in.
no, it's not.
Stop it.
Okay.
Look at my list.
In honor of this week's release of The
forbidden.
Kitchen, what did you think of that movie, Brian? You just saw it, right?
Loved it.
You really?
Best movie of the year.
Oh.
I'm saying it now.
Oh.
Suki St. James, an American treasure.
All right. Hopefully you all feel the same when we do our... Is that going to be our review cast?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, or we could do scary stories to tell in the dark. No, let's do the kitchen.
All right.
Yeah.
We're going to commit. In honor of the release of The Kitchen, we have a fistful of kitchens.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, start us off with your number 5 and your fistful of kitchens.
Pretty easy list.
So my number
Yeah.
5 is what Lisa said. It is Chef.
Yeah.
Chef is my number 5. Of course, that was going to be on my list. It was my favorite movie of 2014. Okay, Jon Favreau. This is him returning back to smaller budgets after he did
Cowboys and Aliens.
Cowboys and Aliens. Okay, I was about to say Iron Man 2. But
Whoops.
no. Cowboys and Aliens, because we saw how that was received. So he
That movie
said-
was great. I will not stand for anti-Cowboys and Aliens talk
You won't stand
on this
for it?
podcast. I will not stand for it.
You're right. I need to rewatch it. I haven't seen it in a while.
You can borrow my Blu-ray.
I have it on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I did buy that. I like the movie.
It's
I
good.
just haven't rewatched it.
The ending's not great,
Yeah.
but everything up to the ending is pretty good.
Yeah, it's a great concept. But with that being said, Favreau did return back to his made swinger roots. And I like smaller budget Jon Favreau. And this movie was just a delight.
No Zathura.
Yeah, I still haven't watched it, though. I'll watch it.
I got the Blu-ray.
Okay. I borrowed too many of your Blu-rays.
Dude, where's my Hitchcock box set?
I didn't want to bring that up. Okay. Moving on. I'll give it back to you. Shit.
Are there any Hitchcock kitchens?
Yes.
Ooh.
Brian wouldn't know.
Damn it. Okay.
All right, chef.
But there's so many great kitchen scenes. But I mean, I'm thinking of more so. I mean, you mentioned it before we recorded. The grilled cheese is amazing, and there's
You can't not make a grilled cheese without thinking about it.
Not at all.
It's an art.
And I'm not going to. I love the Alamo. Never mind. I'm not going to go there.
Were you about to shit on their grilled cheese? Because I'll hop on that bandwagon.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I think it was their adult grilled cheese.
Yeah,
that they have.
underwhelming.
Not good. Not good.
Oh.
Yeah. John Favreau needs to come in and
Put in that extra effort.
Yeah. Oh man,
You gotta be there.
I got it once because I was thinking about that grilled cheese from Chef, and it
disappointing.
It didn't live up. Didn't live up. I'm sorry. Still love you, Alamo. But a lot of the kitchen stuff in the restaurant between him, John Leguizamo, and Bobby Cannavale, I love like their banter back and forth, especially like when they're talking about Twitter and him getting on Twitter to really criticize or to throw shade at the critic who gave him a bad review. Like all those, the setting of that kitchen and those three characters in that, of course, the grilled cheese, and of course, just the food truck. That is his kitchen where he builds those Cuban sandwiches. So again, I love this movie. I think it's a delight. It was my favorite movie of 2014, still is. So yeah, that's my number 5, Jon Favreau's Chef.
All right. Wife Dork, your number 5.
My number 5 is a kitchen in a little house in Pasadena. The fight between Beatrix Kiddo and Vernita Green. That was on your list, wasn't it, Brian?
It's still on my list.
It should be. It's an amazing kitchen film. And like as soon as we started going through what could my kitchen fistful be?
Yeah.
I just hear that line, I gotta get Nikki her cereal. I'm like, yes, you do. Because you're a working woman with priorities and I respect you. It's a great scene. It's a tense scene. Like literally when Uma Thurman arrives at that house, they explode into domestic domicile violence, breaking glass coffee tables and throwing each other into bookcases, and it's so astounding. And then the door opens, and the adorable little Nikki comes home and goes like, "What happened to the living room, Mom?"
Yeah.
And just the tension between those two women who respect motherhood so much that they cannot let their beef go. Like Uma Thurman goes like, "How dare you have how dare you say that you deserve to keep what you have because your daughter exists?
Exactly.
Where you took a daughter from me. Like, we still deserve to have our night fight." And that would have been amazing if the night fight had happened. But kaboom, Nikki needs her cereal. Vernita Green goes for that box. What is she, the Cobra?
No,
Copperhead?
Copperhead.
Copperhead. She should have been the Black Mama. I'm siding with her.
Yeah, but she knows where to stash those weapons.
That she does in the cereal. I like that there's also cereal in there.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that they're eating, and it looks like great cereal. I would eat the cereal around the gun.
Isn't it some sort of made-up wolf-themed cereal?
No, well, I don't know if there's a wolf on it, but it definitely is labeled Kaboom.
Yeah.
It's Kaboom cereal.
It is,
Yeah. Everybody eats Kaboom cereal and smokes red apples.
Yeah.
Great scene. I had to get it as my number 5. Because I knew it was going to be on Brian's list.
Yeah.
And it was on mine too.
Yeah.
I've been on vacay. I'm going for obvious.
Yes,
I'm not scraping the bottom of that barrel.
I ain't mad at that.
All right, Brad, you're number 5.
My number 5 is the kitchen scene that I thought of first when Brian suggested this as our fistful. It is the epic kitchen sequence from Time Cop, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. As we all know, Time Cop, he lost his wife when his house exploded. Really tragic exploding house sequence early on in the movie. And then we flash 10 years into the far future where they've invented time travel, and he is a time cop, a cop who polices time.
2004.
Is it 2004?
Yeah, because it was 1994, then they flash forward.
10 years, that's right.
2004.
Yeah, 2004. Yeah, we're all driving around in self-propelling cars that have no windows because we don't like the outside, I guess. The bad guys, who we learn are actually henchmen of the evil Ron Silver senator, they send their goons. Ron Silver sends his goons to his kitchen one night, and Jean-Claude Van Damme is just enjoying himself. He's wearing boxers, which is surprising because usually he's a briefs guy.
They're not boxer briefs?
No, they're boxers.
No, they're just regular boxers.
They're regular boxers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they come at him with their crazy guns, and he's narrowly shot in the junk, but he jumps up, does a split on the breakfast bars, and punches a dude. No.
It was he was about to get electrocuted because the water spilled over, and it was
right. He's about to get electrocuted. I'm glad you remember this movie better than I do, Brian.
I like Time Cop.
He's about to get electrocuted. He jumps up on the breakfast bars to save himself.
Yeah.
Comes back down. Then he kicks all their asses.
Yeah.
Goes back in time, 10 years, and he can't save his wife. But should he save his wife? He should totally save his wife. He does. Spoilers. Because he throws old Ron Silver into new Ron Silver. You can't occupy the same space. Yeah. And they become a CGI blob of goo. And that's pretty cool too. Yeah. But yeah, that kitchen sequence. John-Claude Van Damme doing John-Claude Van Damme doing the splits on those breakfast bars.
I like Time Cop. And his wife played by Mia Sara, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember that as a kid being weird because she does a nude scene. In Time Cop.
She does?
Yeah, she has a sex scene with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
You just said you remember that movie,
I mean, I do, but
it's
still.
a definite
still
nude
old,
scene.
yeah.
You see a lot of Jean-Claude Van Damme butt because that's a requirement in all of his movies. But I remember going like, Ferris Bueller's girlfriend, don't do that.
Yeah, I know. That's what I remember her from, Ferris Bueller's. And then I came back. When I first met Darren, he showed me Legend. And then I remember seeing her in Legend.
Yeah, Legend's great too.
Yeah. So.
Time Cop. That's a great kitchen, right? When
Oh,
people
yeah.
think kitchens,
Sure.
movies, they think Time Cop.
I agree with you, Brad.
All right. My number 5. It's a real quick scene that happens in a kitchen. It is between a character named Steven and another character named Broomhilda. So it takes place in Quentin Tarantino's Django Unchained. So the reason why this moment sticks out to me is because up until this point, the character of Steven is played by Samuel L. Jackson. I was kind of suspicious of him in the duality that he portrayed in that film. But there's one particular moment where I found him infinitely terrifying, and as did Broomhilda. And it's when Django is reunited with Broomhilda. This is after the bedroom sequence where Dr. Scholes brings him to her, and so they're having dinner now. And so the maids, to include Broomhilda, are in the kitchen preparing like the next course. And there's an exchange earlier where she's out in the dining room area, and she notices how Broomhilda is looking at Django. And so when they go back into the kitchen, Steven goes in there and he asks her, he says, you know him, don't you? Mm-hmm. And she says, she kind of scoffs at it and laughs it off. No, I don't know what you're talking about. But Steven, Samuel L. Jackson, like, he just turns on the menace and he rightfully frightens Broomhilda. And so I found that because after that point, it causes the tension because, if Django is found out that the reason why they're actually there is to get her from Calvin Candy, then the jig is up, so to speak. And so ultimately that's what happens. Steven ends up informing, Calvin Candy what happens, and it throws a wrench in their plans and things go left from there. But that moment, Samuel L. Jackson goes into that kitchen and he, threatens her and turns on that menace. It's so effective and it's so good that it really stands out because up until that point, you have that character who, for the audience and for Dr. Scholes and for Django, he's putting on, to be like the servant or whatever. But as you will see, not only in this scene, but in a scene later when he actually sits down to confront Calvin about his suspicions, you see the actual rapport, you see his true demeanor. And so I love the layers of that character that Tarantino wrote and then Samuel L. Jackson then translate through his performance. That moment always stood out to me because you feel so afraid for Broomhilda in that moment. You really do feel scared for her because of Steven's suspicions, and I really enjoyed that scene. So that's my number 5. Brian, your number 4.
So my number 4 is a movie with one Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Thought about this movie.
Yeah, I know. Neither did I until I was thinking about this Fistful. But I do remember that they, once they find out that they are spies that were hired to basically kill each other, and they have their little confrontation shootout in their home, another domesticated action sequence, and they're pulling out guns and shooting each other, and then ultimately it ends up in the kitchen where they're having fisticuff fight, which leads to lovemaking, of course, because all the best fights lead to lovemaking.
We just saw Hobbs and Shaw.
Which is in the kitchen. So yeah, that was just one of the things that kind of stood out to me was that particular sequence in the movie that led to the kitchen. Of course, just the whole idea of having these two spies who live together and now they're contracted to kill each other, being in this domesticated lifestyle. Of course, it would end up in the kitchen, where they would end up fighting and making love all together. So I thought that was kind of cool. A nice sequence too. Doug Liman directed that movie. So yeah, that's my number 4, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
All right. Wife Dork, you're number 4.
I am so proud of myself right now because I'm actually pulling an audible.
Shut up.
I was originally going to say The Farewell because there's so much cooking in that film.
Oh, yeah.
The way that the women express love is through food, and there are like these awkward scenes where, the daughter, she's sad. She can't tell her grandmother why, so her grandmother's like force feeding her, and there's that moment where her grandmother gives her like that big round like fried noodle. It's a meat pie. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, that shit looks so delicious.
They're good.
And I was gonna do like family food. It all comes together, bullshit like that. But then I thought of something way better, and it is Unbreakable.
Oh shit!
There's so much.
One.
I should have saved it for later, but
That's
I'm just so proud I thought of
Yeah,
it.
that's good.
Because there's so much that happens in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Like their family in duress, and the kitchen is so much a heart of the home.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking specifically of 2 scenes. So there's the scene where Jeremy pulls the gun on his father.
Yeah.
And he is hysterical, and he's saying, he's not going to get hurt. He's not going to get hurt. And he's going like, the wife was like, he got hurt in college. You know that. I know that, and it's like this immense tension and like about how like that, just that idea that to keep your child grounded in this world, sometimes you just have to tell lies. And so he's trying to, David is trying to maintain this lie, but eventually he tells his son the truth. Like, yeah, you could shoot me, but it's not going to hurt me, but I'm going to New York,
Yeah.
And it's like this really breaking moment. But then later, there's the scene with the newspaper at the breakfast table where he slides his son the newspaper and he points at an article. You go like, that hero is me. Yeah. And it's like this special thing that just he and Jeremy have, like the knowledge that he is a superhero. I think that's so cool. So, yay. So that's my number 4, not The Farewell. The Farewell is going to get to be on all kinds of lists.
Yeah.
All right, great pick.
I might change my mind and use it again later. Who knows?
No. Brad, you're number 4.
I love a good quest movie. And
Van Damme's Quest?
no, not The Quest. No one likes The Quest, Brian. No. I love a good journey film, a good odyssey. And I'm picking for number 4 a film that begins in the garbage, in a trash bag, and then ends in a kitchen kind of thing, goes to an attic. It's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Okay.
So, Rick Moranis shrinks his kids accidentally with his invention, the shrinking machine. He accidentally brushes them up into a garbage bag or a dustbin, throws them in the garbage, takes them down to the trash, and they have to escape from the trash, make their way across the lawn, back into the kitchen where they can, get the contact of mom and dad and be embiggened. And the way that works is Tommy gets on Quark, the family dog, and he's running into the kitchen, but he's knocked loose from the family dog and falls into Rick Moranis' Cheerios. And Rick Moranis, he's just loving Cheerios. He loves his Cheerios, just gobbling them down. And there's that iconic image of Tommy stuck in the middle of a Cheerio, screaming as he's being pulled up to his father's mouth to be consumed, Greek god style. And just before he eats Tommy, Quark the dog bites the Rick Moranis on the ankle, and he sees his kid in his spoon.
Okay.
And goes, oh my God, what have I done? That's a terrible thing. And then they go and they do science stuff and they embiggen the kids again.
Yeah.
Few films have ignited my imagination like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. After that, I was like, I want to slide down a blade of grass.
Well, like there's something so primordial, is that the word I want, about imagining yourself next to a giant salt shaker, imagining yourself riding an ant, imagining yourself using a cereal Cheerio as a flotation device. Like that's baked into my DNA.
Well,
I want to do all those things.
We're worlds within worlds. Like, the ants live in a completely different universe than we do. And the idea of being able to kind of get down to their size and see what it's like.
I had the thought about the ant when we were in vacation this past week. I was hanging out in the pool. I'm on the side of the pool, and I saw all these ants scurrying around in the water. And I was just like, they're just going about their lives. They're just going about their lives. I could give them a tidal wave right now. I could be God to these people. They're a destroyer. Chose not to because I'm a good God.
Benevolent.
Yeah, benevolent God.
Circle of
But
life.
that flashed me back to Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, hanging out at the pool in family vacation.
There's some great brain. I can't remember who said this. Like where every day for an ant is a tragedy.
Dear Lord.
Who said that?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
But I miss Rick Moranis.
If nobody said it, then I have dibs. Dibs on that famous quote.
You said it.
Oh, he's returning in Ghostbusters, from my understanding.
Okay.
They said he's retired. They're trying to get him.
He does country music now.
Do I want another Ghostbusters?
Well, you get in one.
That's true. Who cares what I want?
Jason Reitman's on it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
All right. My number 4. I'm pretty sure this has been on a fistful of mine before, but I'm going to use it anyways. I'm looking at my list, and Samuel Jackson is on a bunch of my picks this
Just
time.
picking all the Sam Jackson kitchens.
No, but
Ooh, there's a good one. Captain Marvel. They're in the kitchen. He sings a song.
that's a good one, but it's not on my list. But I'm gonna before I get to before I get to that one, I'm gonna go with Gremlins.
Oh, poor Brian.
Is that on your
He
list?
rolled his little eyes.
No. You
Oh, was
said-
that relief?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Gremlins was on my
It was on.
list.
I know it was Brad's.
Of course it was. It's a great kitchen scene.
No,
That for my number 2.
I'm gonna let Brian have.
Do you want the
his.
farewell? You can have the farewell.
Nope. Don't want your stupid farewell.
So yeah, the scene where the mom she's protecting her home, and the fight goes into her kitchen. She ends up putting one gremlin in the blender, and then the other one gets put in the microwave, and it explodes, and that makes me happy because something exploded. That is the only reason why this is on my list, outside of Gremlins being an awesome movie, but something exploded, so that automatically necessitated a spot on my list. Because Gremlins is great, and he exploded in the kitchen. So, Brian, you're number 3.
All right. Thank you, Darren. So my number 3, Sam Jackson. Of course, we had a still awesome screening of this, The Long Kiss Goodnight. The Long Kiss Goodnight, of course, Gina Davis, Samuel L. Jackson. She loses her memory, so they're in the kitchen. Her memory starts to, or at least, parts of her memory or her muscle memory starts to come back, and she's chopping up celery and all types of fruits. And all types of
All
vegetables,
types of fruits
all
and
types,
vegetables.
Really?
all types. He's just throwing it out of the refrigerator. It's like cut this, and she does this little twirly thing with the knife and takes the tomato and stabs it against the wall, and chefs do that. So once the people start to come looking for Charlie Baltimore, the guy attacks her and she ends up killing him in the kitchen. And her wife and daughter.
Her wife?
Her husband and daughter, watch her kill this guy.
No, the daughter's still in the treehouse because after she snaps out of it,
somebody
she says,
someone witnesses her kill the guy.
I'm saying if you
and she snaps the guy's neck in the kitchen, and of course, chefs do that.
Do they? Ratatouille never snapped anybody's neck in the kitchen.
That we know of.
Oh, Jesus.
So you never know. You never know.
Oh, Jesus. A deadly rat.
That's a good kitchen sequence. It's a great movie.
Yes.
The only still awesome. No, that's not true. I've missed 2 still awesomes now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Long Kiss Goodnight, car accident.
No.
And then Romeo and Juliet. We missed Romeo and Juliet this
Those
past
only
week.
2?
Yeah,
That's
those
what I
only
could have
2.
talked about for my weekend door. That was great. Brian fell asleep. Anyway, Lisa, your number 3.
My number 3 is a childhood classic. We watched this movie so much in the Merrier household that we eventually had to break it with a hammer.
Oh, Jesus.
Because we would not watch that VHS anymore.
That's brutal.
And that is E.T.
Oh.
I love this. E.T., he's home alone. Elliot's at school. The parents are at work. Their marriage is falling apart, or already falling apart. Wife's divorced. Things are sad. It's a tense place.
Yeah.
But nobody's there. Just E.T. and Harvey, and he gets a little peckish. He goes to the fridge. He starts tasting stuff. He finds something he likes a lot. It's beer. It's beer. This is one of the many films that taught me, along with Yours, Mine, and Ours, that beer is terrifying, and you should never touch it. So he starts just downing the beer, and then this is where we discover he and Elliot have some kind of connection, some kind of kinetic, what is it called? Telepathy between them. So Elliot's at school. He's feeling a little drunk too. And then what's the best thing to do when you're an alien and you're drunk? Is to flip channels. So he's watching movies and he starts feeling the emotions from the movies. And so he's watching a movie and there's amazing action scene, and Elliot in his classroom gets real bold and frees all of the class frags that they were about to dissect. And of course, then there's a beautiful kissing scene in the film in front of E.T.'s
The Quiet
eyes.
Man. They're watching
and
The
so
Quiet
then
Man.
Elliot, one of my favorite kisses on screen ever, because Elliot stands on the back of another child to kiss the pretty girl in the class.
Do you know who that pretty girl is?
No, I don't.
Erica Eleniak.
Yeah, I did. I Googled it. Who is she?
She's the Playboy Playmate who pops out of the cake in Under Siege, the Steven Seagal movie.
Oh, wow.
Oh, small world.
Oh.
Yep.
Brad's favorite Playboy Playmate was named Denise, which is also his mom's name.
that's
Yeah,
not
right?
true.
Denise?
No,
What?
It's not true.
Oh, I made up
My favorite Playboy Playmate was Karen McDougal, who
Karen
slept with
McDougal.
Trump.
Oh, gross.
All right.
But wasn't there like some kind of thing where you looked at a Playboy?
It wasn't a Playboy. It was a swimsuit magazine back in the day when Denise Richards was doing swimsuit magazines before she was in Starship Troopers. And I remember feeling weird about that. Thank you.
You're welcome. I thut we would share your feelings.
Thank you.
All right, Brad, would you also like to share your number 3?
Yes, I would. One of my favorite kitchens is in an animated film. It's Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Maybe even my favorite Batman movie, if I was really twist my arm on that. And it's technically not a working kitchen. It's part of the World's Fair that Bruce Wayne and Andrea Beaumont are visiting on one of their dates. And then later on, after Batman learns that Andrea has gone on to become the Phantasm and is killing mobsters who she blames for the death of her father, including the Joker, we learn that the Joker has been hiding out in the abandoned World's Fair. And in that kitchen, there is a robot lady chopping up like a sausage. And the Joker has turned that chopping sausage robot lady into a weapon.
broccoli.
And the robot comes after Batman. It's very Jetson-like. And I just think that's really cool. I wanted to live in that future kitchen. And I'm still waiting for that future kitchen. So there you go. That's my number 3. Because the Gremlins thing. You took the Gremlins thing, so we went with Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
All right. My number 3 is going to be, because Brian took my pick, I'm going to go with So there's this character moment in, I think it is Lethal Weapon 3. It may be 2.
Oh, I know you're going.
So can I finish? Can I go with it?
No, I'm saying it's 2.
Okay.
It's 2.
What is it?
You said it's a character moment, right?
Right? Is the pen? So
Yeah, when
he was
when
looking
Riggs
for-
the Murtaugh's wife.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she does the laundry,
Yeah, it's
and,
so nice.
and then
It's a
he
good
tells her the story about the
Yep.
pen, and
Yeah.
when he heard
It's a great
about her
scene.
dying.
It's a great scene.
Yeah, although I have, I may have had my issues with Mr. Gibson later on in his career. Like when those movies came out,
He's a monster. He's a monster of a human being.
Yeah,
but
at
Lethal
that-
Weapon's great.
At that time, like those were some of my favorite, not just action films, but favorite films. There are few buddy cop movies that characterize the two leads in the way that at the very least the first 2 Lethal Weapon films do. I'm not a fan of 3, 4, and how many movies are there?
There's 4. 3's got its moments.
All right.
Let's get the dum-dum bullet. The dum-dum bullet. I like it.
Yeah. But I like
Joe Pesci's blonde.
I like how in this film it's a callback to the things that Martin Riggs was introduced as far as dealing with, with the death of his wife and him being suicidal in the first film. And, they continue to call back to that in the second film. Now that I'm remembering it, there was another lady in this movie that he ended up.
Yeah, but then she's murdered at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. By the same guy.
Yeah, by the
that
same
killed
guy
his
who
wife.
killed his wife. Yeah.
That's right. Oh, that's right.
The South African guy.
Yeah. But yeah, I just remember that scene being a really touching scene and just a really good character moment for Martin Riggs as it relates to his tragic
Renee
history.
Russo in Lethal Weapon 3. She's awesome.
All
Yeah,
right,
she's
Brian,
great.
you're number 2.
Damn, dude.
Diplomatic immunity
Wow.
just been revoked.
What's your number 2, man?
It's already been mentioned. Of course, it's Kill Bill. Kill Bill Volume 1. I mean, that
your number
opening.
2?
Yeah, well, if nobody, it doesn't matter because my number 1 is going to be my number 1. You'll know. But Kill Bill
There's only
Volume
one
1.
number 1, and we all better have it.
Okay.
You're right. Hopefully.
I've thought of another one that would be Brad's.
But Lisa mentioned everything about that scene. Like I said, the kaboom, the cereal, the gun, the hidden stash of weaponry. Nikita seeing her dead mother after Beatrix kills her. Like just everything, the whole conversation that happens, how the fight leads into the kitchen. Like I said, because sometimes the kitchen can sometimes be like the heart of the home, so to speak. So a lot of things, people congregate in the kitchen. A lot of things always end up in the kitchen. So I like how that scene plays out in that area, and how ultimately, everything that happens in there leads to ultimately what happens to Vivica Fox's character. So yeah, I just love that moment. I love that scene, and going back to like the whole Mr. and Mrs. Smith taking something that's domestic, using violence and putting it in a more domesticated backdrop is appealing.
Well,
to me.
and I love how the scene is opened up again when Nikita returns and Nikki sees that this strange woman has killed her mother and goes like, well, because this movie is all about what does it mean to be square? What does it mean to have all of your injustices, rectified?
Yeah.
But by doing this to Nikki, who is an innocent, she's a child.
She's opened
now
that
now her and Nikki are not square.
Exactly. And I would love to see that revisited in the
Who wouldn't?
Kill Beatrix Volume 3.
I don't need it. I do.
I'm sorry, Brad. I do.
No, sorry.
No, Brad is like, no, the 10th is going to
His
be Star
final-
Trek. It's going to be Star
his
Trek.
final
It's going to be
movie-
Star Trek.
I definitely want a Quentin Tarantino Star Trek. It's never going to happen, but that, let's be real. That's what I want.
It could. We'll see.
All right, Wife Dort, you're number 2.
My number 2, I feel, is a super obvious one, but it would be a travesty if it was not mentioned in this Fistful, and that is the chestburster scene from Alien.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I know they're technically in like a dining area, but you get
It's the kitchen.
You get
It's
the
the kitchen.
feeling of the kitchen. There are open boxes of food. People are, all eating out of, huge communal bowls. It's the place where they all come together to decompress. They're not talking about work. There is no militaristic hierarchy. They're just a fam together, sitting around the table, laughing, talking. And then this horrific thing happens, right? And I've become obsessed with looking up to see if full scripts are available on the internet. A lot of the time they are. And I just love the way that the chestburster scene is described in the actual script. So they're all just kind of talking, and then Kane starts feeling a pain, and he's like, "Ooh, what could that?" We all have had pains like that where I always think it's a chest burster. I'm like, I don't know, I'm getting a little burning between my. This is how I go, But he's going like, I don't know what's going on. And then, so here's how it's described: a red stain, then a smear of blood blossoms on his chest. The fabric of his shirt is ripped apart. A small head the size of a man's fist pushes out. The crew shouts in panic. Like, just to take that scene and kind of boil it down to the very essence of what it is. Leap back from the table. The cat spits, bolts away. The tiny head lunges forward. Comes spurting out of Kane's chest, trailing a thick body. Ugh, it's just yucky. Yeah. It's yucky. And this is a beautiful opportunity to plug one of our previous chat casts, because at Sundance, we got to chat with a scholar, Alexandra O. Felipe, about his documentary, Memory, The Origins of Alien. And he talks a little bit about how that film was shot and how the actors were not necessarily informed on what was going to happen in that scene. So they got these real visceral performances from these actors. But also he talks about, he draws back the origins of the chestburster idea to all the way back to ancient Egypt and ancient Greece, and how we have these fears of our very organs, our bodies are a mystery, and they're just waiting to turn on us. It's really fascinating. So the documentary is Memory, Origins of Alien. And if you want to listen to a fun chat, it's Alexandra O. Felipe.
All right.
That's my number 2. I thought of your number 1. I just thought of it. I locked it in.
I don't think so.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't think you've seen it.
Oh. Well, then I guess this better be your number 2. If it's not your number 2, I'll say what I was thinking it was.
Oh.
I like Brian's point about how the kitchen is the center of domesticity. It's a safe place. It protects you, especially within the context of the 50s, right? 1957, maybe. This is a film that I think is unfairly maligned. We here at the podcast know that it's actually a great movie and that most people are wrong about it. But when you are hiding and you need escape from a nuclear explosion, you need to crawl into a lead-lined refrigerator at the Nevada test site because the Russians are chasing you because you knew where the Crystal Skull was. It's Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's pretty good. The kitchen saved Indiana Jones's life.
It did.
The bomb went off. They were testing it out. He got into the fridge just in the nick of time. He flew many miles. But again, it's a lead-lined cushion. Lots of cushion inside the lead-lined refrigerator. He fell. He toppled out of it. And you get one of the best one perfect shots in cinema history. Indy coming over the knoll. And then there's that mushroom cloud in the distance. It's beautiful. It's a gorgeous shot. It's great. But it all started in the kitchen, in the safe home of the kitchen. Indiana Jones, the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's pretty good, guys.
I'm surprised you didn't. Okay, so I'm surprised you didn't go Jaws.
Yeah, I had, but I talk about Jaws all the time.
I know.
And so I wanted a Spielberg movie on equal footing with Jaws.
Whoa.
So I picked Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Whoa. All right.
You heard it here first, folks.
Look, I know it's got its problems, but if you watch it in black and white, a lot of that crappy CG plays much better.
I like the scene with the monkeys.
No.
All right, my number 2. Speaking of violence happening in
No,
the kitchen.
Go ahead and take take my number one.
I'm gonna take
That's
it.
my number 1.
Is it?
Oh,
Yeah, it's my
okay.
number
You
1.
both have the Raid 2?
Yes.
As your number
Yes,
one?
it's my
Oh,
number
that's
one.
too bad because I'm going to use it as my number 2,
I
and I'm going to
know.
have a shitty pick as my number 1. The showdown between Rama and the assassin played by TGIFF Raman. In the follow-up to the action picture phenomenon, The Raid. The Raid 2 culminates, The Raid 2 being a more open and epic continuation of the first film, as Rama is put undercover into this criminal organization. So the world expands. He's caught in between these two rival gangs and caught up in a turf war. And there is an assassination team that is sent out to take care of the enemy, to include Hammer Girl and her brother Bat Boy. But they're also the assassin played by TGIFF Raman, who was most recently seen in John Wick 3, John Wick Chapter 3, with the other assassin from the first Raid. So the two are on this collision course, and they ultimately meet in the third act of the film. And there is an epic fight sequence that takes place in this giant kitchen. The fight starts hand to hand, but then it moves to the curved knives of the Indonesian Silat fighting style. A very brutal. All the fight scenes in this film are brutal. This one is even more so because of the choice of weapons involved. There is going to be a lot of cleaning and disinfectant that has to take place in this particular kitchen before it can be reopened to cook food for people. So brutal fight scene in a pretty brutal movie. The only reason why it's on my list at this point is because Brian took my other pick, so I'm really being spiteful and vindictive. So kind of a douche move, and I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Brian, you're number 1.
The Raid 2.
Oh, dang.
Pretty much everything you just said.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, but the Raid 2, I mean, I talk about this scene all the time. I mean, it's one of my favorite hand-to-hand combat fight sequences probably ever that I've seen on screen. Right. I love it. I love the aesthetic of it. I love the look and the feel of having this white kitchen against, like, having these guys all dressed in black with all these blood splatters against this, like, sheen white background. It just gives it this look that, just makes the fight choreography and everything else just really pop from the screen. And of course, just the choreography that's being done and how they're using the geography of the kitchen and all areas of the kitchen when they go to, like, the little cellar that has, like, the wine in there towards the end. And, I mean, they're using every single area of this kitchen during this fight. And I just think that it's brilliantly choreographed, the way these two fighters are just going back and forth. I mean, we talk about, at least I talk about it a lot, of what really got me into a lot of martial arts films is the fact that it's like a dance. I saw that with Jackie Chan. That's why Jackie Chan has always been a prominent figure in the action genre, especially for me, when I, came to know him a little bit more in the early 90s. But everything is just like a dance. And just to see, like, these two people, almost like a ballet dance, like seeing them go back and forth. It's just, it's brutal. It's beautiful to watch. And it's exhilarating. And going back to what we were talking about before, like with Atomic Blonde and how you take, lower budget action and just the way you film that, it just brings more to it as opposed to stuff that we've seen where it's highly edited. And you're trying to cover up certain actions to show that people really can't fight. This movie just pulls the camera back and lets these guys go, and it's beautiful to watch, man. I fucking love The Raid 2.
All right, Wife Dork, your number. Is there a Muppet movie that?
Yes,
has a
of course there
kitchen?
is.
All right,
and of course it would be my number 1 because it is the rat scat scene in the diner where Rizzo the rat is giving a little beat to that diner deal. I don't know how to. It's a perfect scene.
Mm-hmm.
It's a perfect scene. Who wouldn't want a rat musically swimming in your coffee or putting its feet on some butter pats and scooting around on the hot top? I wouldn't mind if a rat gave me a waffle, and I don't know. I don't even care if he's inspired by the French greats like Ratatouille.
Oh.
You don't need that. You just need a little style, a little class, a little Rizzo the Rat.
All right. Brad, your number one.
Again,
Let me guess. Jaws.
No.
Oh.
It should be Jaws.
Brian-
His emotional truth is Jaws.
No.
Is there a kitchen scene in Unforgiven?
No. No. Brian was talking about the dance between two performers, the back and forth, the intimacy that's shared in a kitchen in particular. It can be quite powerful, especially when like egg yolks involved and jalapenos and strawberries and cough syrup.
Olives.
We're talking about the sex scene from 9.5 Weeks.
Not Hot Shots part. Oh, man.
I mean, that can be an asterisk to it.
Okay.
Asterisk to it. 9.5 Weeks, a very sultry, sensuous film. The 50 Shades of Grey of its day.
It was.
Kim Basinger and the oh so fine Mickey Rourke, Lisa's
yes.
favorite. It's the title's about in reference to how long the relationship lasts.
Damn it!
Pretty impressed that it was 9.5 weeks. Frankly, they had nothing in common. What she saw in him, I have no idea. But I also like it's a sex positive movie. It's all about adventure. It's all about knowing each other. It's about experimentation. It's about egg yolk. It's gross. It's disgusting.
That's salmonella.
Yeah.
I'd rather have a rat. A rat cook my eggs.
Jesus.
Not sexually.
Oh gosh. Get out of there, Rizzo. But yeah, no, the real number one is the Raid 2.
Oh,
Raid
man.
2. Like that sequence is amazing.
Yeah, it's okay.
And like blood on tile, so good. So good.
That's also in Muppets Take Manhattan, but nobody talks about it.
It's also 9.5 weeks, but nobody.
No! Get the mop. What the hell?
What's your number one, Darren?
3 words. Tiny Sam Jackson.
Oh, that's not a kitchen.
That's not a kitchen.
It's in a
though.
refrigerator.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's in a hotel room.
Okay, but in a hotel you can't have a kitchen. So
You straight up had no number one. You put the Raid 2.
I told you I was being a dick. He took mine. I was being really spiteful and vindictive. But if that's not going to work, then I'll go with F. Gary Gray's hood comedy classic Friday.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with a kitchen scene from Four Brothers.
Wow,
That's
no.
John Singleton, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
John Singleton.
But no, I want to go with Tiny Sam Jackson.
You can't.
not a
We've already
kitchen.
discussed it.
That was the
kitchen.
hotel's. That was the hotel's kitchen.
No, it was not.
You had a little refrigerator, right?
No, if you wanted to go Ghost Kitchen,
man.
you go The Shining, man.
No.
You go The Shining. You should have gone with Aunt Beru's kitchen from Star Wars.
Why didn't you do Babette's Feast? It was an It Mod homework back in the classic days.
Wow, that was so long ago.
It's weird that I go I can't do Babette's Feast. I've talked about the Danish film Babette's Feast way too much.
You've only talked about it twice.
I know, but that's a lot for an obscure Danish film. People are going to think it's the only obscure Danish film I know.
Just to make my douche move even worse, I'm not even going to replace 1408 as my. I'm just not going to have a number one and just leave it at that. So I'm just going to end mine with a number 2. So I've lost one of my digits in my fistful. So I've only got 4 digits right now.
End
So.
mine with a number 2. Most of my days end that way.
It's weird. He's flipped. He doesn't start his day with a number 2 like a gentleman.
It was all that grape nuts.
Yeah. And for some reason on vacation, Brad was like, there's 8 kids. What's a cereal that kids will not want to eat? And so he thought 8 grape nuts. And so he just ate gravel for 7 days.
That's a lot of fiber there,
It
Brad.
turns out that a lot of people like grape nuts because a lot of people were eating my grape nuts.
Only child. He doesn't understand how it works.
Don't worry, I kept my truffle almonds in my bedroom.
He did. He squirreled away food like a selfish chipmunk. A selfish only child chipmunk.
I have a question. So we still have a guest in the.
Oh,
in
you
the
think
door
she's not
cave.
prepared? She is prepared.
Do you have a fistful of kitchens?
She
Teresa?
does. I'm turning my mic over.
Yep. Here we go.
Seats.
Yes.
All right.
This is Teresa. She's amazing. What's your Twitter handle?
At sometimes Reese. Reese like Reese Witherspoon. I'm trying out a new online identity to keep the church people away from me.
Good luck with that.
They'll find me. All right. So I guess my number 5.
Yep.
Grosse Point Blank.
Oh, correct.
Great
Oh,
pick.
good one.
God damn it.
Final scene with Dan Aykroyd standing up over the kitchen counter and shooting and laughing. He's so happy.
That's
He's so
a good pick.
happy in that kitchen until he gets TV'd in the head.
Whoops.
I cannot believe everybody missed this one. What about Jurassic Park?
Well, that was going to be my number 1.
There we
It was-
go.
Yeah,
Thinking
what-
that
With
too.
the
Once
with the
you finish.
velociraptors
Yeah.
and the kids hiding. That was my first
That's a good one.
PG-13 movie.
Mine too.
There we go.
Mine too. It was me and Jenny Walker. Do you remember Jenny Walker?
God rest her sweet
She's
soul.
no longer
Oh.
with this world.
Oh.
Yeah, I babysat her. But and with me it was Sarah Sinclair, still in this world, only family as Christian as ours.
Oh,
and
all right.
And we were both real scared because we were both real sheltered. So that kitchen was real scary. You don't realize how many things like go ding and
Yeah.
rattle and make
spoon.
noise.
Until a
You're like-
velociraptor's in
Yeah,
there.
until there's a velociraptor. And man, that little girl did scared like a boss.
She did.
Very
She
good
did.
child actor. At the time, I wanted to be a child actor, and I thought that was pretty badass. I also had E.T. the Extraterrestrial, but since that was taken, I was thinking of some TV kitchens. I was thinking of the kitchen in Full House, which was a show that we watched some, not a ton, but
I would be able to find my way around that kitchen though.
yeah, definitely. It was one of those. I remember that the Bob Saget character Danny was very obsessed with the cleanliness of that kitchen. A lot of the kitchen furniture and the kitchen cabinets reminded me of our very like 90s country furniture at home.
There
We're
was like a
sitting on
butter
this
yellow
chair right now,
like a butter
Same
yellow.
chair.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So the Full House kitchen, but my favorite. Oh, I also remembered the kitchen in Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt that Jane Krakowski's character has with the giant refrigerator that is only Fiji water. And every time somebody comes in the house, she's like, "Oh, would you like a water?" And when they're like, "No, thank you," she just throws it in the trash. Just
Oh,
a
wow.
full Fiji water. And that's like, oh, I want to live that throwing away Fiji water life. So that was a beautiful TV kitchen. But my favorite TV kitchen is not Suki St. James's kitchen in Gilmore Girls.
Crime.
I'm not as fond of that one as you are. My favorite kitchen is the kitchen in Downton Abbey.
Have not watched it.
Which you have not watched, but I am a prestige TV dork, and
Yes.
I am a Brit dork, and I have watched all of Downton Abbey. Really excited about the movie. Loved the kitchen. Love Mrs. Patmore. Screaming in the kitchen. Love Daisy. She's adorable. Little kitchen maid. Grows up to be a sous chef. It's all good stuff in the Downton Abbey kitchen. It
I
is
don't
a
think we
safe
have
place.
one Downton Abbey dork.
Nobody
in the
watches
cave.
Downton Abbey. This is not, we have a different
Happy
vibe
Hogan
going.
mentions Downton Abbey in Iron Man 3.
So there's that.
There's that going on. I do know that.
I'm
He
glad.
watches it in
I'm
the
dating a
hospital.
woman who loves
That's-
Downton Abbey.
There you go, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jennifer.
And you
Yes.
know what? It's a lot of fun if you like that sort of thing. My number one was my favorite scene in a movie that this scene does not get remembered very often, but there's just a beautiful scene in the movie Bridesmaids. Where which Lisa has not seen for obvious reasons.
Oh, yeah.
My OCD is not as powerful as her, so I didn't skip the whole movie. I just skipped that one bit. But there is a beautiful scene in the kitchen where Kristen Wiig's character makes a single cupcake. She's very sad about her friend is getting married. She's not in a good relationship. She's having impersonal sex with John Hamm, which sounds great to me.
I don't know. Those are two things. Personal cupcake sex with John Hamm. I'm like, she is living it up. What was I thinking?
Best life. But she's a baker. And so she just mixes up and just bakes a single beautiful, beautiful cupcake. And she only makes enough icing for one cupcake and enough, which is a really impractical way to bake.
I've done it, though.
You have done. You've made a single cupcake.
Yes, I have. I wasn't sad. I was empowered. I was like, I'm a strong and independent woman with autonomy, and I'm living my best life.
I can make a single cupcake. Well, that's what
one.
she did, and she makes it beautiful. She just ices it gloriously, like no slapdash. She makes just a beautiful piped rose, and then she just bites into it because this is her means of creating. This is her thing of
My
beauty.
question is, did she use an egg?
I believe she used a single egg.
Yeah, that's not going to be a balanced cupcake. If you're going to make a cupcake, cupcake for one, you got to go vegan cupcake. Use a little bit of baking soda. No, you don't know. They're onto something. A little baking soda, and then it's fluff. And then you don't get that I'm not going to eat a chocolate omelet.
And see, now I'm picturing you making a cupcake with the mental picture of you making like a Fast and Furious pasta. If you listen to the last episode.
Oh, just make a hole in the middle.
She's making a hole in the middle, and then she's going to make a Fast and Furious cupcake. No, so that was my number one, was just the lovely little cupcake scene in Bridesmaids. And that's me. I'm Big Sister Teresa.
Yeah.
At Sometimes Reese
Yay.
on Twitter.
Thank you, Big Sister Dork.
And stay tuned because Wife Dork and I have a project in the making.
Oh, wow.
That's right.
Will be happening soon. If you were a teenage girl in the 90s and the resurgence of great Canadian women's literature, you will know and enjoy what we will be speaking of.
You didn't know my sister had plugs. She's a professional.
She is. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for having me, you guys.
Yay. Now all of my siblings will want to be on the podcast.
Yay.
And they're not all as charming as Teresa. I'm warning you guys right now.
I want to know which one you're thinking of when
I would rate my siblings favorite
don't do
to
that.
least.
All right, Brian.
Fistful of siblings.
Hit us up on social media at ItModcast and give us your fistful of siblings. Just kidding. Let us know your fistful of kitchens. You can follow that guy at the Turtle Dork on Twitter, at the Turtle Dork 1 on Instagram, and at Brian William Young on Facebook. You can follow that lovely young lady at Sidewalk Siren and at Bake Dork on Twitter and Instagram. She's also at Sidewalk Siren on Letterboxd. Brad Gullickson is at Mouth Dork on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Letterboxd, and Untapped.
Ghostbusters would have been a good kitchen also.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Damn it.
Yes, it would have.
Should have gotten that instead
You
of
should
9.5
have.
weeks.
You should have.
Kept King with the Kristen Skull, though.
Stop. And I am Darren Smith, the Disco Dork on all social medias, and Big Sister Dork.
That's me.
At Sometimes Reese spelled like the pieces.
Yep. That's going to do it for us. Thank you all for listening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Go check out Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Go check out The Kitchen because those will be talked about on our next Weekend Dork. That's going to do it for us. Thank you all for listening. And until next time.